Hi everyone, it's Brett with It's Picking Time. This is Guitar for Connectedness Part 1. We're going to be doing a little series on this, just on these chords C, E, and G. Now, the C major chord all major chords have to follow a little rule, and without getting too deeply into it, there has to be a C note, which is this, which if you want to get into let's get into the quad view here. Which is this note here, that's a C, and then also when you make a C chord, this where your first finger lands on the first fret B string, that's also a C. So we have to have a C note. We have to have an E note, which is where the second finger is, and we have to have a G note, which is right now it's an open G. Okay, so C, E, and G have to be played to make a C major chord. And right now what we're going to be doing is, and what I did for my little turnaround was just using this C, this E, and the open G. So just simply, after I'm done playing the G, I go do, 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 then go back into the C chord. So the connectedness part of this is that we're using the notes of the chord to play the solo. And this is a repeating pattern, so to speak, on the fretboard. So there are other C, E's, and G's close to each other around the fretboard, and we want to try to get to know each of those notes. Now, this I'll call home base, which is basically the first 3 or 4 frets. That's where all of our open chords are made. Okay, a lot of our open chords are made, let's say. And so the farther we get away from home, the trickier play becomes, because you've got to move down to certain notes and then come back up and still stay in time. It's a little harder to do than just leaving your fingers here and plucking these 3 strings. So we're going to start with this. It's just a C, and I go to E7 and then drop into the E major, and I'm just strumming down. And then we go to G. So we have the notes, C note makes a C chord. The E note makes an E chord, in this case 2 E chords, E7 and E major. You can hear a little bit of a difference there. Whoops. And then this is the E major. And then we have a G note, which is open in this case, and the G chord. Playing like a full G because I'm using all 4 fingers. You can play G6 if you like, which is just the two top fingers. You can play a G like this with just this finger here or this finger here. It doesn't really matter how you do it. So it's just a G. It just has to be a G, okay? So what we're doing is moving through. Now when we're trying to move this, I want you to think about this and look at my left hand. My C has this, if I lift this up, and this is the same, very similar shape to doing this. I just literally lift up one finger, and that makes the E7. So that's a transition. We don't have to do this, all this movement around, and then get into the E. It's just the exact same thing moved up. That should be a little helpful for the beginners here. This is really about a course about the beginners. If that strumming pattern is too tricky for you to be able to move between your chords and keep the strumming pattern, then slow it down or strum less. If you have to, don't strum at all until you got the left hand or the fretting hand movement done. Fretting hand is the hand that we want to pay attention to more than the strumming hand right now. It's really important that we get that that fretting hand control it. Now, it might be easier for you to go up and down, and I've noticed in my home practice that students have an easier time when they actually strum up and down a little faster. It's kind of like momentum keeps them going. So. That's your C, E, and G. C, E, open G, drop into the C. Now, what's going to happen in the next parts is we're going to use different orders of C, E, and G. If you remember at the beginning of the video, I said this is also a C. So you can actually do this and do the open G and then the E and do that in order. In that order. So we're going to look at some other C, E's, and G's in this area, in this first 4 or 5 frets, so that we can play the same chords but play the solo in different places. Now, we're not always playing the solo notes or the C, E, and G in the order C, E, and G, but we're always playing the notes C, E, and G in whatever order you can. Okay, that makes it sound good to you. So that's where the creative process comes in, okay? So let's work on this a little bit. There's a lot of stuff you can work on here. There's strumming with moving just to the E, right? There is the E obviously to the G, which is also a very similar shape, right? Just moving over and up one, okay? There's continual strumming that you can always work. If you can cover your fingers up very lightly. This is like I call it a butterfly kiss. It's very light, and you just strum, and you keep strumming until you don't have to worry about until you're not changing your tempo or your speed. So it's just a consistent, continual movement, down or up or down up. It doesn't really matter what it is, just continual, and it's on autopilot. We want to be on autopilot, okay? So let's try to work on that, guys, and we'll go into the next series, which is going to be a little bit more tricky. We're going to work some C, E, and G's down here in this area, a little bit away from the open chords that we're making. Okay, so I'll see you guys soon.